Why we don't see our needs as valid. If that question lands for you, stay tuned. Hi, everyone. My name is Mikrit. I'm a registered dietitian, diabetes care and education specialist, and I really wanted to talk about seeing and hearing our needs. And for those of you that are not familiar with my work, I write a newsletter called No Weight Loss Required, and it's a newsletter for people that are trying to prevent or manage diabetes. And right now, we're on step 4 of the roadmap, so the No Weight Loss Required roadmap, which is talking about sustainable self-care. And in that sustainable self-care piece, there's kind of sub pieces to it. So the first one is belonging, the second is ease, and the third is feeling seen and heard. And so I just wanted to kind of come back to why we don't see our needs as valid. Now, if you've been hanging with me at all, you know that I'm going to point to stigma because pretty much everything around our struggles is probably some aspect of stigma. I know a lot of people are like, I don't think stigma is that big a deal. But let me just kind of read to you a little bit about what the research is saying. So the National Association of Eating Disorders has summarized the research, and what they found was is that internalized stigma. So that's where we kind of believe the press about fat people. We turn around and are like, oh my gosh, it must be true. That must be me. And when we internalize those things, like I should have tried harder or I brought this on myself, that's stigma. And that's internalized stigma. And diabetes and weight stigma, they kind of travel together. And a lot of times when we have diabetes, people accuse us. They're saying, like, well, if you tried harder or if you didn't eat that, um, you know, it's just, it adds to that stigma. And we start believing it. Like, did I cause this? Now, just for those people who didn't get the memo, diabetes is a complicated disease, and there isn't a single reason why people get diabetes. So, no, you didn't cause it. And when we start thinking about diabetes stigma, if we believe that, we might start minimizing our own values. We might start minimizing our own needs because, well, I kind of screwed up. So, why would I get my needs met? And so that hurts. I mean, we need to feel seen and heard, and we need to get our needs met. And so in this video, what I wanted to do is kind of walk you through some exercises that I do with my clients to help you start to feel seen and heard. Before I do that, though, I did want to kind of create a bridge around towards the our previous topic, which was unease. So again, just to repeat, because I think we need to hear it multiple times, ease is a basic human need. And ease occurs not by trying harder, but by letting go of what doesn't work. I know. Think of it like ballast, you're letting it go. It's stopping you from moving forward, and ease happens when we let go of the things that are stopping us. And stigma would be a great thing to let go of because it really is quite toxic. In the same sense, what we're trying to do is we're trying to let go of the things that aren't in alignment with our values. So when you align with your values, you're actually letting your values kind of pull you forward. And that's really where ease comes from. So the more we're aligned with our values, the more ease we're going to experience. That's a beautiful thing. And in order for us to align to our values, we have to start kind of seeing and hearing our needs, seeing our hearing, like, I need this, I value this is an important part of my self-care. And so, how do we actually bridge to seeing and hearing ourself and our needs? Again, it's a little bit complicated, a little bit confusing, but I'm going to start by explaining something from Marshall Rosenberg, who was the founder, psychologist, and he was the founder of nonviolent communication. And the piece that I wanted to talk about was the nonviolent communications list of feelings. So, to begin with, I always love to explain that feelings are like a signpost, they're pointing to something. So, when you're feeling kind of grumpy or irritable or frustrated or stuck, it's pointing to something. And what it's pointing to is that your needs are probably not being met. When you're feeling happy and grateful and satisfied and fulfilled, it's pointing somewhere. It's probably pointing to your needs are more likely being met. Now, it's not a perfect thing, but it is helpful to recognize that when we're feeling kind of these positive, enjoyable, delicious feelings, more likely our needs are being met. When we're feeling more of these kind of grumpy, difficult, rough, challenging feelings, needs are probably not being met. And a lot of times when we think about diet culture or we think about the messages around diet culture, when we're grumpy, it's your fault, you know, and a lot of times that kind of can lead us to this idea that you're broken. So these feelings, having these feelings in a society that likes to blame people, when we're having these more difficult or challenging feelings, people will say, well, that's your problem. Well, that's your fault. But if those feelings are arising because your needs aren't being met, then that's the issue. It's not about you. And so now what we want to do is start turning around and saying, well, what are my needs and how can I hear them? Now, part of the no weight loss required roadmap talks about this sense of healing, not fixing. And so again, diet culture really makes it seem like you're broken. And that's a false belief. People are not things, so people cannot be broken. They're hurt. People cannot be fixed. Things can be fixed, but people can't be fixed. People are healed. And healing, a big part of healing is that feeling seen and heard. So, what I'd like to do is just kind of walk through this handout, and it is below, so you can so you can also look at it. And let me just grab that handout. I'll share my screen here. Beautiful. And you guys should be able to see this. So let's kind of begin at the start, feelings and needs. And when our feelings and needs are met, um, expanding our emotional vocabulary, we're really starting to notice that these are a lot more pleasant emotions. So affectionate, excited, grateful, peaceful, inspired, exhilarated, confident. So you can start seeing these are kind of the feelings we want, right? And when our needs are not being met, we kind of start having these feelings. So that afraid, aversion, agitated, disquiet, fatigued, confused, angry, pain, embarrassed, disconnected, annoyed. I know it goes on to a second page. Sad, tense, vulnerable. And so this is when your needs aren't being met. So you can look through these and start turning around saying, like, what are the feelings that are arising in me? Which ones are more common? And what needs are being met? What needs are not being met? And if you're wondering, what are my needs? Gratefully, this handout includes kind of a list of universal needs. So here they are, universal human needs. That means all of us need these things. It's not just for Bob. And for those of you who are new, I pick on Bob. Bob is my fictitious person that often represents diet culture or oppression. So human needs are things like meaning, peace, physical nurturance, mental clarity, play, um, commonality, feeling like we belong. They go on, autonomy, connection, celebration. And so it's really helpful, or at least I found it very helpful, just to go through and highlight what my needs were, because it takes time to understand our needs. And for many of us, myself included, until this concept was brought up to me, I didn't know about it. This wasn't anything that I ever learned as a young adult. I learned it as a much older adult. And I always loved to pass it on because it was such a pivotal learning for me. So again, when we start thinking about feeling seen and heard, it's having this idea to say, well, what am I experiencing? And that's that compassionate curiosity again coming up. Compassionate curiosity is asking questions about your direct experience. And your feelings are part of your direct experience. And so as you start kind of leaning into this idea that, hey, I have needs, which you do, and we often don't really validate those. So we're working against that. We feel grumpy when we're not seeing our feelings seen and heard, when we're not recognizing that we have needs. And there's a high probability grumpiness will occur. Now, when we see and hear our needs, there's a higher probability that more positive feelings are going to arise. Doesn't always mean it's going to happen, but again, it's an indicator, it's a signpost trying to direct you to something. So I'd like to wrap up here and let me stop sharing this. And I'd like to, just like I said, wrap up and just try to understand how all of this connects back. So, to tie this back into sustainable self care, we need belonging. You have belonging. We're going to reclaim that. You don't earn belonging. Ease is a basic human need. And so, we're looking for ways to create ease in our life. Ease isn't being lazy. Ease is when we're aligning to our values. And the more we let go of things that aren't working, the greater the sense of ease will occur. When we start really getting our needs met and we're saying, hey, what do I need? What are my needs? Again, that compassionate curiosity, asking ourselves, hey, what am I experiencing? What are my needs? What's present right now for me? You're starting to really feel seen and heard. And you're feeling seen and heard by the most important person there is, you. Diet culture is always about other people seeing us, other people noticing us. And this is taking a very different approach. It's starting around saying, like, see yourself with compassion, non judgment, but see yourself and what are your needs. And in my next article, where I write about For No Weight Loss Required, we're going to go through an exercise of how we can actually start verbalizing our needs, how we can get our needs met. And again, it's a handout that is created or that was created by the Nonviolent Communication community, and it's a really nice way to start noticing and framing our needs because they are everyone has them. Okay. Now, if you're interested in kind of what I talked about here, definitely subscribe to No Weight Loss Required. The paid subscription is going to get you access to these other articles. Thanks so much for being here. Again, we talked about this, but just to hit it home, your feelings are a signpost, needs are normal, and seeing and hearing yourself is what makes sustainable self care possible. Thanks again. Take care, everyone.